billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Ta'rifu fi wujuhihim nazratan na'im. Yusquna min rahiqin makhtum. Khitamuhu misk wa fi zalika falyatanafasil mutanafisun. Wa mizajuhu min tasnim. Aynan yashrabu bihal muqarrabun. Innal ladhina ajramu kanu minal ladhina amanu yazhakun. Sadaqallahul aliyyul azim. Lecture number 15 for the 9th class, and problems of classification. How the classification problems will be solved, how the problems which exist during classification of the animals and the plants. Ernst Haeckel came into mind. Ernst Haeckel came into ground and solved the issue. One issue he has solved, and that was the major issue of adjustment of the Euglena-like organisms. If you will see Euglena-like organisms, the Euglena-like organisms are very unable to set because they have some problems, because they have presence of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is present, and when chlorophyll is present, presence of chlorophyll makes them able to make the food, but unfortunately they are unable to form the food, and they declared heterotroph. Even having chloroplast, they declared heterotrophic. Due to heterotroph nature of Euglena-like organisms, they made interested point for classification that Euglena is not going to set in animals or plants. Reason is that because that consists of cell wall, but cell wall it must be autotroph because it consists of chlorophyll. It should be able to produce the food, but Euglena is unable to produce the food. And what is the issue going on of adjustment of the Euglena? The scientists need to develop separate kingdom for the Euglena-like organisms. And how this problem was solved? This problem was solved by Ernst Haeckel. How the Ernst Haeckel solved this problem? You need to know that Euglena-like organisms have plant-like characters as well as animal-like characters. They are eukaryotes. They are not the prokaryotes. They are eukaryotes. Prokaryote classification problem is something else. This is the Euglena-like organisms, unicellular organisms, which are photosynthetic, which consist of chlorophyll. But due to even presence of chlorophyll, they are unable to produce the food, and they declared heterotroph. This is an amazing term in terms of biology. Having chlorophyll, you declared heterotroph, because when you have chlorophyll, so we can expect that you will be able to produce the food. If you have no chlorophyll, you are not able to produce the food. You are autotroph. It means that you are going to produce the food by the chlorophyll. Even having chlorophyll, even having cell wall, you are heterotroph. Euglena is heterotroph. That's astonishable term in terms of biological scientists during taxonomy, during the classification of the animals and the plants. We go back and we see what was the resolution of this problem, how this problem was resolved. In 1866, Ernst Haeckel solved this problem. How it solved the problem? It adjusted the Euglena-like organisms into another kingdom. What was the name of the kingdom? Protista. So Protista was developed. It is not the kingdom Palante, it is not the kingdom Animalia. Do you remember that earlier classification, the major classification that the scientists were able to form? That was the kingdom Animalia, kingdom Palante. Two major kingdom of the living thing, kingdom Animalia, kingdom Palante. And those two kingdoms, scientists were thinking that their work will finish because we have organized all living things. But Allah Ta'ala told that I will make some creatures which are not plants, which are not animals. Even we have made some creatures which even do not resemble animals, do not resemble plants. There are two types of creatures. One type of creatures between plants and animals. If you will compare the Euglena, which will compare plant, which you can compare with the plants as well, even having chlorophyll, you can compare with the animals as well, even having heterotroph. But some creatures do not resemble plant, do not resemble animal, and they do some unique characteristics which are not present in the plants and animals. Such animals are fungus. And what the fungus will do, I told you, absorptive mode of nutrition. Fungus are absorptive mode of nutrition. I told you absorptive mode of nutrition in the last lecture, and I was telling you that absorptive mode of nutrition is that they are secreting the enzymes outside. The food is being digested outside. Food will be digested outside. That food, digested food, will go into the body from outside to inside by inhalation. Means such a method is called absorptive mode of nutrition. In 1866, Ernst Haeckel did this, and that was absorptive mode of nutrition. So we go back to some other problems which were in the classification. Two problems were being solved. What was the name of the scientist who first of all solved the issue of adjustment of the organisms which are Haeckel in 1866, and that was the scientist. Name is written in front of you, and that is the first hero of the classification, because he is the scientist. He introduced the true method of adjustment of Euglena-like organisms, and he told those organisms must be in Protista. Protista is the new name, Protista, and that third kingdom, Protista. So Protista ji, this is the third kingdom. So how many kingdoms you have formed yet now? Tell me, how many kingdoms you have formed yet now? You have formed three kingdoms now. Kingdom Animalia, Kingdom Palate. You have formed three kingdoms. The Kingdom Animalia, the Kingdom Palate, and third kingdom, which just we are discussing, Protista. Ernst Haeckel in 1866 introduced to adjust such organisms which are between animals and plants. Now we go back to another type of the problems which were being solved. That was the problem. These problems. Yes, fungus was the issue, and how the fungus was the fungus was the solved. Fungus issue, how the fungus problem was solved. Fungus problem was solved by the adjustment and by introducing another type of the kingdom. So I am telling you fourth kingdom now. The fourth kingdom is a fungus. Fourth kingdom is a fungus. So how many kingdoms are there? Number one kingdom is the Kingdom Animalia. Second one, I don't talk about the E-chaton, because E-chaton I will discuss later on. I am talking about Ernst Haeckel. I am talking about the fungus, because two kingdoms were being adjusted. One is a fungus, because fungus having different characters. Fungus having the cell wall, but that cell was not composed of cellulose. That cell wall was composed of chitin. I told you in last session that fungal cell wall is composed of the chitin. That must be composed of cellulose according to plants. And fungal cell wall, another problem I told you in the fungus, the character which resembles the animal. The food stored is in the form of glycogen. That is raised another issue in reference to fungus, because stored food in the plants are starch. Stored food in the plants is the starch, and stored food in the human being is the glycogen, mean in the animal. So this character of having stored food as a glycogen resemble with the animal. So this is amazing that fungus having some characters with animals, some characters with plants. You will say, no sir, this is just similar to Euglena, because you was telling Euglena resemble some character, resemble plants, some character resemble animal. So how you make fungus as a different kingdom, because you must include the fungus in the same organism, same kingdom, like Kingdom Protista. Fungus have some characters which do not resemble plants and even do not resemble animals. The one character I told you, what was the character you remember? Absorptive. This word you will remember, okay? You will study fungus chapter several times in the senior classes also, and this word I will use again and again, absorptive mode of nutrition. I am going to discuss this process in detail in the future. Now we'll go back to the system. It is not there. It means one another issue still there. What is the still there? Autotroph, heterotroph. Fungi is not autotroph. Fungi is not heterotroph, because it do not resemble the autotroph. It do not resemble the autotroph, and fungal cell wall do not consist of cellulose. So that is the issue. The fungus is included in another kingdom. Mean that is fungus, fungi. The fungi kingdom. So Kingdom Animalia, Kingdom Palate, Kingdom Protista, the Kingdom Fungi. The four kingdoms we have introduced. Still one problem is there. What is the now next problem? Next problem is that problem was solved by E-chaton, and E-chaton did marvelous work in the sense that he differentiated between prokaryotes and the eukaryotes. He was telling that the prokaryotes, which are the bacteria, and they are without well-defined nucleus, and prokaryote which are without well-defined nucleus, and how they are included in the plants, animals, in which kingdom they will include. E-chaton raised the question that in which kingdom you people will include the bacteria. The bacteria will be the part of kingdom Plantae. No, not never, because all Plantae are the eukaryotes. Each atom told that the bacteria are cyanobacteria, which are the prokaryotes. You will adjust in the fungus. No, all fungus are the eukaryotes. So will you adjust in the protista? No, because all protista, because this was the mistake of Ernst Haeckel. Because Ernst Haeckel entered prokaryote. That was the issue. That Ernst Haeckel introduced prokaryotes into protista, which was wrong, because all protists were eukaryote. How you can adjust the bacteria prokaryote in the protista? This problem was actually solved by the each atom. And what the each atom did, each atom introduced another phyla, another kingdom, that was the prokaryotic kingdom, that was called as Monera, M-O-N-E-R-A, Monera. And this was, in that time he used the term prokaryotic. Now currently we are telling prokaryotes. So word has been changed. In the past it was being told prokaryotic, word is written prokaryotic. Currently we are telling prokaryote, prokaryotic, another. This is the first kingdom, because these are the lowest animal, lowest organisms introduced by the each atom. And each atom told that the prokaryotic, the bacteria, the cyanobacteria with well-defined nucleus. What is the meaning of the well-defined nucleus? Without nuclear membrane, the DNA will be present because they are alive. And then after that question, sir, now the classification complete, because you have found the 5 kingdom system of classification. You made, sir, 5 kingdom system of classification. And you remember the name of all kingdoms: kingdom Animalia, kingdom Plantae, fungus, prokaryotic, and protista. Prokaryotic means prokaryote. Prokaryotic in that sense when Ernst Haeckel was using this name. Now currently we are telling prokaryote. Better you use the Monera, Mr. Munir, you know the name of Munir, you can remember Munir, Monera, M-O-N-E-R-A, Monera. So now the 5 kingdom system of classification. Still there was the problem, because Robert Whittaker used some terms, and 5 kingdom system of classification credit goes to Robert Whittaker. After that to more scientists, because you know the research was very less in that era. Still we were unable to classify, because we were not having a knowledge of biotechnology, we were not having knowledge of genetic engineering. He used a cellular organization, because in that time still they had very less knowledge, so they had no much knowledge in that time. So he used, I am talking about Robert Whittaker, W-H-I-T-T-A-K-R. Whittaker means he has white car. He has a white car, Robert Whittaker. W-H-I-T-T-A-K-R, Whittaker. Robert Whittaker told that cellular organization mean that how the cells are arranged in the body. He classified according to arrangement of the cells. He classified arrangement of the nuclear membrane, yani prokaryote, eukaryote. He classified on the basis of multicellular organisms. He classified on the basis of unicellular organisms. So he was going to classify unicellular on the basis of unicellular nature, the multicellular nature, and he was taking a cellular organization. But still, why I am not giving 100% credit to Robert Whittaker? Reason is that this classification, of course this was 5 kingdom system of classification, of course this was maximum evolution was taking place, and this was the true classification, but still 2-3 points were not being used in classifying animals and plants. What were the points? I already told you. Genetic engineering, because in that time genetic engineering was not there, because you know genes knowledge. When Mendel's law of independent assortment, Mendel's law of segregation was discovered. After that, genes knowledge becomes so effective that without studying genes knowledge, you can't study even biology now. Because all characters of the kids, all diseases now are being identified by having the genes pair on the chromosome. And the chromosomes, autosome, sex chromosome study, and arrangement of the chromosome inside the nucleus, arrangement of the nucleotides in the DNA, and the DNA for the double helix structure of DNA. So all details you will not study. You are not going to classify animals and the plants, because now there are technical knowledge is being used currently
to study fossils, means we are studying DNA. So Robert Whittaker was unable to study the living things by DNA, by chromosome, by biotechnology, by genetic engineering, and by using DNA polymerase enzyme, by the DNA replication, by mitosis without meiosis. So it means that after that, these two scientists which I am naming now, all credit goes to them, and this was 1988. The problem was finally resolved. And how it was resolved? The Margula Hills. You will remember Margula Hills. He is living Margula. No, he is not living Margula Hills. Just I am showing a renowned name so that you can remember the Margulis and Schwartz, Schwartz. These are the scientists who used original methodology of the biotechnology, genetic engineering, and they were able to identify the solution of the problem. And currently, what they used, once again I will tell you, because I told you they modified, of course they modified the classification by the Whittaker. And how they modified? Because they use the modern technology. Modern technology mean biotechnology and genetics. Biotechnology and the genetics. And now currently Robert Whittaker's system of classification was modified. Protista is the first, fungus, Plante, Animalia, and the Monera. So these are the 5 kingdom system of classification. I will continue now. We will study step by step these 5 kingdom system of classification. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.